Thanks to Eric Henderson for giving us a few minutes. Jack's Bison Men coming up tonight at the Shack as we opened our show this morning with the highlights of the game last night in Brookings between North Dakota State and South Dakota State as the Jackrabbits pulled away at the end and knocked off the Bison. It is Thursday morning at 10, so Jory Collins always good enough to join us to start our second hour on a Thursday. I know there is no time for moral victories. You have no time for that. So just how did you address the team after the game last night?
I told him I was proud of him for, responding at halftime and coming out and playing really well in the third quarter, get ourselves back in the game and actually take a 2-point lead. I mean, it was a great college basketball environment, Dom. They had 4,000 people in there. That was a factor late in the game. We had some miscommunications, and part of that was from the bench and to the floor. It really was, hey, you can't have a 5-point quarter against a team of this caliber and expect to beat them on the road. For them to go on an 18-0 run against us in the first half and then for us to come back and take a lead, I thought there was obviously some positive things there and some really good things we did. And then just, there was about 3 plays in the fourth quarter, maybe 4, that I thought was the entire game and the reason we didn't win. And they made those plays and we didn't.
When you have it as such a knife, edge, that's how close it is. How do you say, I'm sure you emphasize that, but that when you see it especially for young players, like, hey, a game like this comes down to 2 or 3 plays that will decide who wins and who doesn't. Yeah.
And, for me, it always comes down to that. And when 2 good teams are playing and it's going to be a possession by possession game. So I always look at, what's our fundamentals and how well are we doing that? Are our threes going to offensive rebound when we shoot it? Or are we in the moment and just watching the game? Are we denying the corner like we talked about denying the corner for 2 days? Or are we in a gap because we're just uncertain and it's a big moment and I want to be safe? There's a myriad of just little bitty details that I think you have to stay in and be able to do throughout the course of the game making shots, missing shots. Those are the big things everybody sees. For me, you got to be a lot better in the gray areas against those teams and just be assignment correct all the time. And we were definitely not that in the second quarter. And we were not that, in the last about 2.5 minutes of the game.
When you saw at halftime, is it unspoken what you have to, how you address the team, or hey, just what did you see coming out of the third quarter of what happened in the second quarter?
It was there was some speaking. Dom, there was I challenged him a little bit, because it's not, they're obviously a great team, but it's not like we're playing UConn. You know what I mean? We can make plays against them. We can get there. It's pretty evident, we can go toe-to-toe with those guys. You just got to get over the hump. And I challenged him in all the areas I just talked to you about. Just, the little things. Are you doing your job? What's required on this possession? Are you supposed to screen this person? Did you set the screen? And that's because they're so good, your margin for error is so small that you have to just be super tight. Your fundamentals. And if you get away from that, you're not going to make the play.
When Draper hits the basket to tie it at 55, you got 3 minutes to go. That's all you're asking for on the road. I have to assume when you're tied up there. What happened after that? Just what did they do that you guys couldn't respond from in your mind?
Well, they ran. They had a box set. They ran. We didn't. We weren't assignment correct. They set a shuffle for Meyer 2 times. She came off of it wide open 2 times. One of them was an and one. The other one, I think we fouled her. It just 2 good executions on their part. And not us being very good fundamentally defensively there. And then offensively, we just panicked a little bit in a couple possessions and we're a little bit quick, didn't have as much patience as we needed to touch 2 sides and get to a second action in our offense that had been good for us. Obviously trying to get it into Drapes or Avery there late and just couldn't get it done. And so it was just poor execution probably on both ends there for at least 4 possessions.
to have it be as close as it was, Jory, and you got, I mean, I mentioned this off the top, you got no time to wallow in this because you got to play again Saturday and you're going out practicing today. I mean, how do you is it that the biggest thing? We got to be right back out there and forget this?
No, I mean, we're going to address this one today. I mean, we got time today. So we got to recover. That was a very, very physical game.
Yep.
So we'll get a recovery lift in today. We'll watch a little bit of this and talk about the thing because there's always things in every game that we can carry into the next. And so we'll address some of this, and then we'll spend, our practice time obviously on St. Thomas and getting ready. Because we got to turn right back around and play a good St. Thomas team on Saturday and need to be fully locked in for that.
I know you say we got to make more shots. You made 9 threes last night. Abby Schulte knocked down, I think, 3 of them. And I know we've talked before about her shooting more. Is that exactly what you're talking about? Hey, if they're going to leave you open, you got to take the shot.
Yeah, I mean, she has to. I mean, especially the way they were playing us. They were, digging and doubling on, Drapes and Avery have earned some respect. And, their bigs are really good too, but they don't want them in foul trouble, just like we don't want our bigs in foul trouble. So they're lending some help off some kids that, don't have great 3-point field goal percentages, which makes sense. I think they're a little better shooters than what their percentages have shown. We missed a bunch in the first quarter and in the second quarter of just being able to play inside out and take them. And we went into the game saying, you have to take every open shot or you're not going to get another one. You have to be shot ready on different situations against this team. They stunt and recover on a lot of drives. They're going to get in the gap and then try to close out to you. And if you're out there, you got to be ready to catch and shoot some. I thought Molly was great last night. Took all the right threes we wanted her to take, went 3 of 6 or whatever. That's much more like what we envision Molly being. She just got to be ready to shoot those. Riz made a good one. Amelia Hobson made a good one. Drapes hit 2 at the trail spot. Those are threes that we need to be taking and need to be making for us to be probably close to what our offensive potential is. Obviously, we're gonna bread and butter it on trying to pound it in to 2 good players that can score in there. But when teams are going to make a concerted effort to take that away and dig and rake the post, then you got to be able to play inside out too.
We're watching the 14-0 run, which I thought was typified by Schulte down on the floor, gets a steal, then she comes back and hits a 3. At that point, then you've got the lead. I mean, the bench had to be going nuts at that point.
Yeah, I think it was just obviously had some momentum and did a really good job, again, coming out of halftime where we kind of got punched in the mouth in the second quarter. And it was kind of, it's time to get tough or get blown out.
Yeah.
And I again, as I've said all year with our team is very good at responding to some adversity. Has done a good job, whether it's halftime or whether it's after a game going into the next game. And I thought they did. I thought they gritted their teeth a little bit and really came out to get back in the game and did so. It's just, again, few possessions, really, really late that probably cost us.
So now you got to turn the page here. You've got St. Thomas at the back end of conference play beginning to go through that stretch where you played South Dakota, North Dakota, South Dakota State, and you could say they're the next game, but there's more added to that. How much of maybe an emotional hangover with those as well? Now you got ready for a St. Thomas team that you got coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't anticipate that. I think, I think our players are a lot like me. They just get pissed off, and then you're ready to get on to the next, who's next that I can go take out some frustration on. That's what I feel about it. And so I get just as excited to play the next game just to get this taste out of your mouth when you don't play well. And obviously St. Thomas is a very talented team and going to present some issues. But I fully expect us to be ready to go Saturday at 1:00.
I know it's now in the past, but I haven't had a chance to visit with you about the atmosphere Saturday of having that doubleheader, the game, how it played out, which went right down to the wire with UND. I know you're a fan of doing doubleheaders all the time, but describe that environment and getting a chance to see your team compete in that on Saturday.
Yeah, it's just fun. I mean, that's college basketball at its best. That Saturday, last night was fun. I mean,
last night.
The crowd wasn't for us. But I'd much rather play in that environment than empty buildings all day, no matter where it is. That's what you kind of do it for. Get out in front of a big crowd. You feel the energy, whether it's for you or against you. I mean, it feels just as good at home to make a big shot and have them roar for you as it does to make a big shot on the road and have it go quiet. And Saturday was awesome. It was fun to be able to get a win against your rival, a close basketball game, which we knew it was going to be. And then to get to, relax after and actually enjoy the men's game was really fun to get to see those guys as well as they're playing right now, actually get to see them up close. So I thought it was a great day, and I'd like to do more of them.
Last night, going back to that, 4,100 at a women's basketball game on a Wednesday night. I don't know how often does that happen across the country? Not many places, right?
Not many.
Yeah.
Not many. And they played a factor, Dom.
Yeah.
Again, there was some communication. We gave up a 3 late in between defenses because we just couldn't get it communicated fast enough. And, that's a credit to their environment.
And that's something, obviously, you look forward to Sioux Falls if your potential happen again. You were in that environment last year. You know exactly how that can be a factor in a game like that.
Yep. And it's the same thing there as it is on their home court. And you got to experience it and you got to prepare for it.
Now for the second half of conference play, knowing where you're sitting at 6-2, that you've got 5 of the last 8 are at home. And you and I have always talked about making sure you're holding serve at home, of taking advantage of the second half of the schedule, that it suits you now with 5 of your last 8 at home.
Yeah, we need to go on a little run here and get some going. I like that we got 5 of 8 at home. We're going to have a chance. We play St. Thomas Saturday, and then we don't play for a week.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that Monday and Tuesday where we can sit down and really, kind of dissect where we're at through the first half and +1 game. And make some really good adjustments that I think we need to make as a group to tighten some things up and give ourselves a better chance in some areas. So that'll be a really important. Next week's going to be a big, important week for us to kind of set ourselves up for, that last little 4-week run.
We've talked about your other freshman, Amelia Hobson, you mentioned, had a big 3. How is the transition going midway through her freshman year, coming from Australia to adjusting to Division I women's basketball?
Yeah, I think she's doing a great job, Dom. I think, it's like it's a freshman, young freshman, plus 10 times more things than anybody else has to deal with.
Right.
And she's making strides. She's going to be a really good player for us at some point. Right now she's inconsistent in some things, but has earned some regular time here coming in. Her length, her ability to shoot it, are all high level things. The more that she gets calmed down and the game slows down for her, the more you can see her talent out there. But she's right on track with what I thought she probably would be as a freshman. She's going to make an enormous jump. When we get to postseason, she couldn't be here last summer.
Right.
And being able to get a full year in the weight room is just going to be huge for her.
Everything lefty looks better, Angle. Like she's a lefty shooting that 3, just like a golfer or a left-handed batter in baseball. I don't know what it is. It just looks better.
Yeah, it's definitely different. We got 2 of them now.
Yeah, that's right.
So now I gotta, some of our plays and stuff, I gotta get swapped to the other sides, and it makes me have to work harder. Trying to get them in their best spots, but it's definitely looks good.
Appreciate the time as always, bud, and we'll see you on Saturday.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Dom.
Jory Collins, NDSU women's basketball head coach, joining us this morning. We appreciate his time after last night's defeat at South Dakota State. And you saw, honestly, there were 2 points in that game, and we showed the highlights of it, and Jory talked about it. When you look back at that second quarter, and we've talked about it on this show with him about who's going to take a shot. We're 3 quarters through the season. We got 8 games to go in the regular season before Sioux Falls. And when you're going to have these kind of games of who's going to say, I want the ball with 30 seconds left to take a shot. You knew over the last couple of years, certainly over the last 4 years, Heaven Hamling was going to be that person. Heaven wanted the ball, and she was so confident either if she was going to make it or not. Had no issues with that. Elle Evans, over the last year and a half, developed into that player as well. Like, we're going to go through L, and we're going to live or die with the fact that if she makes it, great. If not, then we got our best player with the ball. With those two gone, there's now a vacuum on that. Coonan and Draper are tremendous down low, but they've got to get the ball to them. It's the on ball, who's going to take it down 2 with 5 seconds left on the shot clock. That's the rub, I think, with the Bison women. That's when you have an 18-0 run happen against you, or last night where you can't score over the final 3 minutes of the game. It's finding that killer, that dog, so to speak, of say, you know what? Yep, I got it. You want to stop a run? I'm going to do that. And I don't know if they have that on this team. Schulte's great at a lot of things. I'm not sure if her ability to score, to make a big shot, she had a couple last night, is that it? Frost is a freshman, and she's tremendous, but I'm not sure if that's her. Lenz hit a couple big shots. I don't know if that's something they can go and add, or if these players get older. Again, they have just 2 seniors on this roster that'll be gone after this season, and Schulte and Draper. But that's that killer instinct. I mean, Paige Meyer has it. She stepped into that 3 in that corner and drilled it. Yeah, the Bison didn't communicate well defensively. You still got to have the gumption to say, I'm going to step up and make a shot. And she's hit countless big ones. And that's the difference. I know what Jory said, they're not Connecticut, but there's a mental block there. Getting over that hump is a tough deal. And when they hear it, and I mean, they don't have to go very far. We talked about it off the top of the show, the fact that they have lost 23 times in a row to them. They don't need any reminders on that, but that's the facts. The average margin of games have not been close. Now, you look over the last, I would say, handful of games. I'll do this quick stat before we got to go to break on the Bison and the Jacks in the last, let's just say, 7-8 games of this, because there were even some when Jory took over in 2019 that still weren't close. Let's just go here the last handful of years. And there was one that got away from him down in Brookings at the end of the early in 23. But let's go here. The last couple of years, lost by 16, lost by 30, lost by 28, lost by 7, lost by 15, lost by 7, lost by 8. So, again, I know the big thing is loss, but the last 4, they lost by that game last February, almost a year ago to the day, here in Fargo, 65-58. End of the regular season in Brookings, they lost by 15. The game in the Summer League Championship, they lost by 13. Which, I mean, the Bison had every chance to win that game. And then last night, lost by 8. There are no moral victories, especially when you're trying to end a 23-game streak. But you take what you can get. I mean, they had the lead, and they were tied in the fourth quarter. I mean, that is A to Z from where this basketball team was 4 years ago. Now it's about how do you close it out? How can you do it? It doesn't seem as insurmountable, I guess is Jory's point, and that's the best way to wrap this up, as we thought in the past. Because in the past, you're like, this is a rubber stamp. Jacks are going to win easy. And heck, when they went on that 18-0 run last night, you thought the same thing. Bison fought back and took the lead. That's not what happened in this series over the last 10 years. We'll take a break. We come back. Got some emails to catch up on. A few other things going on as well we want to let you know about. Hot Mike continues on the Thursday morning. We're back after this.